think it was a blue and white pattern. And so for a sweater, my mom had dyed a white sweater blue, and so at lunchtime one time, this nun came up to me and she goes, "Your mom died." I go, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, she dyed your sweater, didn't she?" I'm like, "Really?" And then another time, my dad had taken us out with his metal detector, and he used to go out and find Indian pottery, and not with a metal detector, but with the metal detector, he would find coins, old coins, and he'd find actually uh, cannonballs and bullets and things from battles, both with the Indian Wars and the different wars they'd had down in Florida, as well as the Civil War. And at one point we found someone had stolen a gumball machine where you put in some coins and you get a trinket out of it, like a little troll in a plastic bubble, and or other types of trinkets. Don't think they are really seen nowadays, but they were quite common when I was young. So the money had all been taken out, but the trinkets were still there. So I took all those trinkets and put them in a cigar box that I'd gotten from my uncle. He smoked cigars, and so I took those to school. This is first or second grade, I don't know. And during lunch, I would take my cigar box out and sell these trinkets that were normally 5 or 10 cents for a penny a piece or whatever. And so after maybe a few days or a week of good sales, I was carrying my cigar box up the stairs after lunch, and then the nun was at the top of the stairs, and she looked down at me and she said, "What do you have there?" I go, "Oh, it's a cigar box. Look at this. I have these things that I'm selling, and oh, everybody's happy, and isn't this great? I'm making money." She looked at me very sternly and she said, "Well, you have to pay taxes on those. That's illegal. You can't do that." She goes, "I'm going to have to seize those." And I was, concerned. I didn't want to break the law, so she took them, and I went to my seat and was very sad. And I don't think I even told my parents, because I felt like I was a criminal. And every car that went by, I thought might be the police. And so sometime later, maybe a week, she called me up and she gave me the cigar box, and she said, "Well, now, I'm not going to turn you in, and just don't do this again. It's illegal, and you can't do that." So I took my cigar box and my hard earnings that I had diligently earned, and took them home, and I think I probably buried them in a mayonnaise jar in the backyard so it wouldn't be booty that was stolen. And so the lesson that I learned there was that you can't. I trusted adults, I trusted people, but there's bad people in the world, and I remember at some point later, there was during lunchtime, or maybe it was even before classes started, the kids were milling about, and this nun was right nearby, and this kid, everyone carried lunch in their bags. They're like a lunch bag, paper bag, and he was swinging his lunch bag, and an overripe tomato flew out of the bottom of it and hit this nun right on the side of her face. She was wearing a habit, white, all white and black, and she was shocked and upset. And I remember I was so happy, and then I felt so bad, because I thought, wow, I shouldn't be happy about this nun being embarrassed and injured, but I was. So I had to ponder that for a while. What other lessons? My dad used to go fishing at Lake Bryant in Ocala, Florida. And he had friends there. There was a guy named Dwight Stallings. And one time Dwight, he said, hey, he's going to take us out fishing. So he and one of my brothers, we went to the far side of the lake, and the engine stopped, and he fiddled around with the fuel line. He goes, well, I'm afraid we're out of gas. What are we going to do? And I thought about it, and I said, well, let's take this paddle, and we're gonna paddle to the shore. And of course it was, a 10-15 minute boat ride, so a 2-hour paddle. Anyway, so I started paddling, and I think we had another one. My brother was paddling, and after a while, he said, oh, I think I figured this out. I think, yeah, and so he started the engine, and he was just messing with us, seeing how we were going to respond, and I. At the time I thought we had really run out of gas, and I trusted him, but I later realized that he was either testing us or seeing how we would respond, or tricking us, or seeing if we were going to cry or whatever. I was I don't remember my age, maybe 12, something like that. So, these are lessons we all have to go through. Stories. What else is important for education? Well, I think you have to, at some point, you learn to appreciate what you have, and have gratitude, and you have to appreciate the small things in life, the simple things. If you can't do that, you're not going to be happy. You have to be able to look forward to enjoying a good cup of coffee, a bath, the sound of birds chirping at dawn and dusk, the smell of roses and honeysuckle. And you have to learn that, again, people can't always be trusted. There's nurturing people, and there's backstabbing people. You can't, if you're in an office environment, you have to be cautious about what you talk to with people, because people will embellish stories and do things to attack you or backstab you, or try to gain an advantage over you. And don't give them that ammunition. It's not worth it. You have to have the right tools to do well in life. In my retirement, we've been traveling a lot, and we'll do road trips, 30-day long road trips. We've gone up the coast from South Carolina to Maine, eating good seafood, and visiting interesting sites such as the Whaling Museum. It's just an incredible story, incredible story of America, the whaling industry. And of course, having great lobster, and fried oysters and fresh fish was fantastic. Seeing all of the Gilded Age mansions in Rhode Island, incredible. The Mystic Seaport Museum in Connecticut is just phenomenal. again, it has a whaling ship there. The Charles Morgan, I believe is the name, and it was in business for, I forget now, 40 years. And the first trip out, of course, they go out for 2 to 4 years and collect something like 600 barrels of whale oil, and that paid for their boat. Their boat was something like $50,000, and the rigging was $50,000, and they paid for the boat and had profit left over just from the first trip. So it's really interesting to travel, and so you learn a lot about American history, about the great endeavors and energies that people have put into living, and in the East Coast and the West Coast as well. The Theodore Roosevelt National Park in the Dakotas is very interesting. His life story is quite interesting. So these are all things that are helpful in trying to become educated, trying to learn how to think, trying to learn how to write, because writing is a great skill, and it's difficult. It's very difficult, but when you can do it well, it's very satisfying. And the same thing with other capabilities or hobbies. I, in retirement, have been improving the house. My wife